Tom.
Mm-hmm.
There's a woman here to see you. Donna said she was in the Cameron office downstairs.
A woman? You know who it is?
No, she didn't give a name. Do you want me to just, you want me to just go downstairs and be like, what's up?
Yeah, because I've got a 12 o'clock call with somebody right now.
Okay.
Yo, yo.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
What's going on?
Not much. Sorry about that. I didn't know if we were meeting in person or if it was a call. I'll get the hang of this.
Oh, was that you down there?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Kristen just came into my office. She's like, someone's here to meet you. And I'm like, oh, man, I got a 12 o'clock thing. I don't even know who it is. I didn't know.
Sorry about that.
All right, let me, hold on. All right, see if you can turn your video on.
All right, let's see. Speaker view, mute. Mute my audio, rename, hide. I don't want to hide now. Start video. Here we go. There we go. Hey,
Okay. So you're at the office now?
I am. We just finished up the MLS training.
Okay, cool. All right, let me regain control. All right, so I'm gonna just jump right into this if that's okay with you.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. Let me. All right, cool. So first of all, thank you for coming on today.
Sure, absolutely.
What's going on? Anything good?
We have a lot of stuff in the pipeline, hoping to get a few agreements signed. We have a lot of activity in East Boston, so that's exciting.
Nice. So the purpose of today is kind of like really brief, and I'm not going to keep you on for too long, probably, 10, maybe 15 minutes max. It's just to talk about the seller that you ended up converting into a private money lender.
Sure.
So how long have you been a Cameron agent for?
Active 2 months.
2 months. And when did you first start kind of getting on the dialer, prospecting directly to sellers?
I worked with buyers for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks in, I decided to work with sellers.
Okay. So you made the switch. And as soon as you made the switch 2 weeks into it, did you start hitting the dialer at that point?
Absolutely.
Okay. And since then, roughly speaking, how many hours are you hitting a week on the dialer to prospect for sellers?
So I'm at least 10 hours, but I would like to ramp it up to 12 to 15 per week. It's really day to day. So some days I could put in 3 hours and not get any, but then some days I could be on for an hour and get 6 leads. So it's really day to day, but I really want to strive for that 15-hour mark.
Yeah. So for those of you who are listening, I mean, we're so big on MOJO dialing, prospecting directly to sellers. We've got a huge old seller lead database. So I think I just uploaded our latest list. We've got over 10,000 sellers that have contacted us in the past few years that were interested in selling their property. And the normal course of action is that somebody fills out a form online saying they want to sell their property to Ocean City Development for cash. And we've got 4 inside sales agents now that work the leads right out of the gate. So Barbara, Eric on the weekends, Ivana at night, and Alex Rodriguez also does some of the initial calling for us. And so those leads that come through, they get worked. And then once they get aged 10 days, and if we're not able to get out and meet with those people face to face, we then put them into seller archives for you guys to hit on. And as you know from dialing through all of the old lists, there's a bunch of people out there that filled out a form 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago that weren't ready to sell at that point, but they're ready to sell now. So that's just a little bit of background for people who are listening. So you were calling on these motivated seller lead lists that we have,
Yes.
Just trying to get face-to-face seller appointments. And, what would you say on average, every how many hours that you call do you get a face-to-face appointment?
Realistically, every 2 days. Every 2 days, putting into at least 2 hours.
Okay.
Around one appointment face-to-face.
So one face-to-face for every 4 hours you put in. Makes sense. So your goal is to get 3 face-to-faces a week. Is that right?
At least, absolutely.
And if we can get your conversion ratio to a minimum of 33%, that would be 1 new listing per week.
Perfect.
Which would be pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
So you were calling on the old seller lead database. And as you know, probably before you signed on, there's a lot of different ways to make money here. It's not just listing properties, it's acquiring properties. But one of the revenue pillars that we have for our agents is for people to help us raise capital. So we always need money to do our fix and flip projects. We fix and flip over 100 properties per year. And even though we always say that we're probably close to not needing any more money, it always seems like we get something else in the pipeline and, figure out a way to utilize funding. So you were calling just to get a face-to-face seller appointment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you called the person. Tell us a little bit about how that conversation initially went when you called.
Sure. It was a seller from the seller archives. The gentleman was selling his home in Concord, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And when I called and said, hi, my name is Samantha. I'm calling from Cameron Real Estate Group. How are you today? He said, fine. How are you? And I said, I'm working with a local developer looking to purchase properties in the Concord area. Are you interested in selling your home now or in the upcoming year? And he said, oh, I actually just sold my property.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of letting him off the phone right there saying, oh, great, have a good day, I said, oh, that's so exciting. Congratulations. What a big accomplishment. Let me ask you, are you interested in doing any other real estate investments? Are you doing another real estate project? And they say, oh, what do you mean? They have the capital. I know his home sold for $899. I know he has a chunk of change now that is nowhere. Why don't you hear about our strategy? And he started asking me, well, what do you guys do? And I went into, well, we have a different strategy. We are a young, innovative real estate firm with a lot of marketing potential. And that's when he started to say, it's funny you say that. I was looking for a partner. I'd like to do some real estate stuff, but I want to be hands off. And as soon as I heard hands off, I thought this is the perfect place for him, because it's literally putting your money in and being completely hands off with the project.
So I want to stop you for a second just to highlight something really quick. I think a lot of times when, we prospect to people, we're always thinking in our head, how do I make money today? And in real estate, if not just you, I'm talking anyone in general. If you're in real estate and you really want to make a career out of it, you've got to really be thinking always long-term, right? So just because somebody tells you that they don't have anything to buy or sell today doesn't mean you can't build rapport with them, doesn't mean that it can't turn into something down the line. And I think it only takes, like you just, illustrated, takes a couple more seconds to do a little bit more work, to press on for another minute just to see what their situation is. Because just because they just bought or sold something doesn't mean they're going to not buy or sell something a year from now or 2 years from now or 3 years from now. Our goal is to build a pipeline of buyers and sellers for the long haul. So what made you even think to kind of start going down that route? Was that something that you were scripted on, or just an instinct that you went with?
No, I actually always congratulate someone when they say they sold their home. It is an accomplishment. It can be quite stressful. Some people don't have a good listing agent. Some people, it's a nightmare. Some people have a really good closing and they list their property and it's done. But I always think it's congratulations worthy. It's an obstacle you faced, you did it, and it helps the person say, oh, actually, yeah, thank you. That it was a pain, or, oh no, it actually went really great. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Well, let me ask you this. Are you interested in reinvesting in real estate? Do you have any projects up and coming? Mm-hmm. And right then and there, you'll know if either they're hard no, or if they're interested in being a hands-off person, or if they really want to get right back into real estate and reinvesting.
Okay, so you started going down, the line. He said, I'm looking for people to partner with. He started talking about, being, non-actively involved. So you kind of got in your head, oh, let me talk to them about potentially lending to Ocean City. So how did the conversation then go from there?
So he asked me, well, why would I invest in this company? What makes you guys so different? And I actually love that question, because we are extremely different. We are really what I feel is a marketing real estate agency. That's where our expertise is, to generate leads, not to just sell your home. Mm-hmm. So when I was speaking to him, we became on a personal level, because just what we were speaking about. And then when he was saying, I have other properties, that kind of tipped me off. Okay, he's familiar with the process, and he definitely wants to invest his money. I think it might be because of how much money he made as well. He made a nice chunk of change off of the property in Concord. So he was eager to reinvest.
So we've got some other people that are going to be listening in that are investors. And so one of the reasons why I really stress for any real estate investor to build a real estate brokerage is because, I think we've got 160 or 165 agents, something like that. There is no better opportunity to think about raising capital than right after somebody sells their property, especially in a market like Boston, especially in October of 2017, because people are putting big dollar amounts, big liquid cash in their pocket. And the reality is that they don't have a lot of good alternatives. So I don't know if he spoke to you about what his other options were, but you put $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in your bank from selling a property and you want a good return. Well, what are your options? You can put it in the bank. You're going to get a 0 rate of return. You can put it in the stock market. A lot of people don't like the stock market. A lot of people think it's risky. I personally think as of October 2017 that it is risky. I think it's overinflated. You can put it in a CD and, do barely better than you're going to do in the bank. Or you could lend to us at a rate of 10 to 12%, backed by real estate, backed by something that's tangible that people understand. So back to my point. So, what I tell other investors that I work with across the country is that if you build a real estate brokerage, you're going to have 165 people that are going to be able to get face-to-face with people that are going to be putting probably the most amount of money in their pocket in their entire life. So every single closing that we have, sellers put something in their pocket. I mean, it doesn't always have to be $100,000. It doesn't have to be $200,000. Sometimes it can be $20,000. But in the majority of cases, they don't have a plan for it. And so when they don't have a plan for it, we have a solution. We have a possible solution, and it doesn't work for everybody, but it's something that we put on the table. So if you're a real estate investor that's located, outside of my market, or even if you're in my market, it's, having a real estate brokerage just gives you so much more leverage to raise capital. So you mentioned to him that we've got some options. Was his initial interest kind of like all ears, or was he, did you have to really spend some time explaining it?
He asked a lot of questions. Where do you guys invest most of your money? A lot of questions that I wasn't privy to at the time. I didn't know the answers to. So when the questions that he asked me about our strategy, I was strong in. I didn't know too much information on how the financial piece worked with OCD. So I made sure to tell him, I will get you those answers. The video that you put together answered all of his questions. So my strength was telling him our strategy to get building him up to get really excited about watching that video. And as soon as I said, I have a short video here, don't want to take up too much more of your time. Would you be interested in watching it? Maybe having a follow-up call? And he said, sure, absolutely. And he called me 15 minutes later. I'm so excited. I'm so eager. I want to talk to Tom.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because one of the things I think a lot of people struggle with is not having the answer. And not having the answer really doesn't matter as long as you can actually provide the solution. So, especially you being newer to real estate, you're not going to have a lot of answers. I mean, we want to prep you as much as we can. You can have some answers, but you're not going to have every single answer. So the quote I have on my wall is, you need to get really comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's really simple. It's fine that you didn't know the answer. He probably didn't even blink at it. So then you didn't know the answer, but you said you'd get him in the answer. The second part I see people fail on is, after being, so taken aback by the fact they didn't have any answer and they start fumbling and all that kind of stuff, is they don't then get the actual answer for the person. So you followed through, you got him the answer, he watched the video. So I've got my presentation that I do. So I have a presentation that explains everything about investing with Ocean City Development, the terms, why we invest where we do, what our strategies are. Literally, there shouldn't be another reason why somebody after watching that video really shouldn't have a lot of questions. But of course, when we are taking somebody's money, it's a big deal. So, even if it's a, $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 investment, it's still a lot of money. Even if someone is a high net worth individual, they want to fully understand, and they want to also get comfortable with the person that they're going to lend to. So we've got to meet with people, multiple times in order to get them to lend to us. And, once somebody typically lends to us once on one deal, and we always typically recommend that they start off with a smaller chunk, because maybe it's not for them, and we put them in typically like a smaller project, like a 2, 3, 4 month project. And we start them out, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 just to see if they like it. And, typically they do, but there's some instances where maybe it's, not what they want. But after that initial, investment with us, typically speaking, we then raise a lot more capital. So we've taken people that have started with $25,000 and are up to over $1 million right now. So, and it's because they're smart with their money and they don't want to put $1 million into the pot on day one. So he watched the video, he called you back, which showed his obviously level of motivation. And then what did you do from there?
I scheduled a meeting with you. I checked your availability, and he said I wanted an appointment at the earliest convenience, Tom. Mm-hmm. His wife wasn't available at the time. He did want to bring his wife with him, but she wasn't available at that time. But he said he was so eager to speak to you, he wanted to get the next meeting with you. Yeah. And this gentleman did say to me, I have another property I'm looking to sell. And if that goes well, I'm really interested in reinvesting again and investing that with you guys as well, contingent upon how this works out. But I'm really excited. So his excitement got me excited, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's actually pretty atypical for somebody to lend to us and then not do more. And even if they don't do more, because sometimes, people will get tapped out. I mean, maybe you only have 25 or 50,000 to invest. Maybe you get tapped out. We've gotten a lot of inbound referrals from family members and friends and college roommates and stuff like that, because they know, it's a great return on their money. And we're giving them anywhere from 10 to 12% per year. So they're usually getting a check in the mail for about 1% of the amount that they invest. So it's a win-win for both parties, because we always, like I said, we always tend to need more funding, and they get a great return on their investment. So, yeah, I mean, I met him, nice guy. You never met him in person, right?
I did not.
Okay. So nice guy, was very familiar with real estate, really, had a lot of experience with investing, period. Yeah, he's got a property, I think.
Venezuela, was it?
Something like that. I'm pretty sure it's Venezuela. It's definitely not in the US. And, he's thinking about selling that. So what would you say to somebody on, for somebody else that's kind of just fishing around and they get to know that they're, selling, they've already sold something or they're not selling right away. Like, what would you say to that person to try to keep the conversation going?
I think staying positive and that little oomph of congratulations, accolades to them, mm-hmm. lets them answer my next question. So let me ask you, really transitioning into it. So let me ask you, any other interest in other real estate deals? I'd love to speak to you about our development company and what we have to offer now that I've explained our strong marketing strategy. And you'll find out right there if they're either really not interested or if they're like, oh, well, what do you mean? Oh, mm-hmm. Great, door opens. But I do like to keep the positivity going.
Yep.
The fact that they sold their home, because I've known a lot of people that have sold their home and they do not say nice things about it. It was a terrible, terrible point for them. Constant people walking through their homes. I asked how the listing went, how the presentation went, and he said, good. I wish we, got it off the market, a little sooner. Oh man, I wish I worked with you. We are selling our properties quicker than another agency.
Yeah.
Little throwing in any way I can about how strong our company is.
Yeah. So I think like when you're talking about, capital, period, lending and stuff like that, like if somebody has money, it's a very enticing proposition. And it's something that most people who have money to lend will at least listen to. Again, it doesn't make sense for every single person, but like any other sale, it's a numbers game. So the more people that you speak with, the more people that you're likely to do a deal with. And of course, it's just another way for the agents at our company to make money. It's another way for really just, along all lines of the business to create a win-win for everybody. There's a win for you. You got some additional money. It's a win for me. I got some capital to fund my deals. And it was a win for him because he didn't have anywhere where he could get a good rate of return to place his money. It's actually funny because when I talked to him, he's thinking about moving to Mexico. I don't know if he told you that, but after speaking to him a couple times, I actually told him I didn't think it was a good idea because it didn't seem like to me, because you need a certain net worth in order to move. he was explaining to me all the qualifications. I never understood anything about it. So I said to him, I mean, you know, if you need that net worth, I don't want to put you in a bind where if our project takes a little bit longer than possible, that you might not get it back. And I think that actually flipped our appointment around, because he started then wanting to invest more. I think because I kind of was like telling him no, because again, like I'm not going to recommend with anything, I'm not going to recommend something to somebody just because it might benefit me. I'm trying to see if it's a real fit for him. And I think he may not have even been like 100% honest with what he was saying. And then once I started saying to him, like, I don't think you should do it, it was like that completely changed, which that happens to me actually pretty frequently on any sale that I have. Like once I start telling somebody that they can't have it, now they wanting even more. So I wasn't using it as a technique, but it did kind of come back around and ended up closing them. So, so what do you have going on? So you're at the office now, you're planning on doing some more dialing?
More dialing is on the agenda for today, and I have to run a few comps for East Boston. We have a few 2-family units that are sitting, they're abutting each other, and they're detached from their neighbors. So it's one owner saying, oh, I own these two families. I want to sell this one, but I'd really like to sell both of them. I think it's worth more. And they're absolutely correct. Together, they're worth way more because a lot of these properties are subpar. Outdated. So I think we have a strong possibility of getting the number that they're looking for. We have two units. One is in shambles, no maintenance, nothing, deferred maintenance to the max. And then we have a property that similar square footage and the property is pristine. He has done everything to this property, and their valuations on what they're expecting is $400,000. And the property, the one that's renovated completely, I see no issue with getting that. But the one that has nothing updated, still in very poor condition, I think we may struggle getting that number, what they're looking for.
So who did you go out with originally on that one?
So Jason was my first one, and we went through everything. So the woman who owns one side, she has her neighbor, and he wants to sell too.
Okay.
But he bought when the market was high, 2005. He overpaid. He needs to get $650,000 for his piece.
What did he originally pay?
I think it was $490. It was $450. It was around $450.
Okay.
And he wanted it. But the only thing is he's thinking, and I don't know, I guess this is where we come into play. He wants to split everything half and half. And square footage is different. Everything is different in these units. They look exactly the same, but they are extremely different. So that's, I guess, going to be a hurdle that we have to face, because now both of these people want, or one of the gentlemen wants exactly equal half, and the units are not equal.
Yeah, there's always complications with all this stuff. I mean, you're selling somebody's biggest asset for sure.
Absolutely.
So are you strategizing with Anthony on this one?
Absolutely. So the newer property, I'm going to work with Anthony on, and then Jason and I are going to work on the one over on Monmouth together. So we'll hopefully put something together that will make it attractive. One of the halts that I received was they don't want to put any open house, any marketing on their street. They don't mind if we list it online. I explain the coming soon. We'll drive it. We'll get the marketing out there. But she had concern about an open house flag, stand, anything referencing an open house on the street. So I said, oh, well, I'll absolutely check about signage. I didn't think. Well,
the good thing for her is 99.9% of buyers aren't finding out about properties for sale by doing drive-bys. So, absolutely. We can drive every single person there still. I mean, signs in general don't get buyers there that wouldn't have looked at it anyways. What they get is they get people who are kind of just starting the process. So actually, for more or less, tactical purposes, the only thing it's going to do is it's going to prevent you from getting a couple of buyer leads that you probably wouldn't have gotten, but it's really not a big deal. So what do you think the odds of conversion of that is if you had to put a number on it?
The one over on Trenton Street, I think we have this one. He wants to finish his stairs because he thinks it's dangerous to have an open house. I think we're going to lock that. That one I went on myself. I'm going to include Anthony in it, but I went on the seller appointment alone. I had him and his wife there. Wife was really, really interested in our pitch. And I actually am recruiting his granddaughter too, Cameron.
Nice. Well, so you're going to be filling out all the 6 revenue pillars very, very soon. So you've got sellers, you've got raising capital, you've got recruiting. So yeah, we just need to get you a buyer and an investment deal, and you'll filled out, every single revenue pillar. So
challenge accepted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those 2 are going to be easy. Honestly, the raising capital and the recruiting are the ones that tend to be a little bit, not more difficult, but they just don't come along as much.
I actually have another meeting that I was going to set up. A woman from Florida interested in our strategy, looking to speak with you.
Really?
House, moved to Florida. I'm seeing it's very much how people do it, sell their New England home, move down to Florida.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you look at it just makes a lot of sense. I mean, I was just in Jacksonville a couple weeks ago, and we bought a couple properties out there. I mean, you can buy, a mansion there for $400,000. Yes. And these people, they're selling their East Boston 3 families for $800,000-$900,000. So yeah, if I was getting towards retirement age and I didn't need to spend another winter in the cold, and I could cash out and basically see you later. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for that specific person.
That's awesome. That's great. And I will use that.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, I would do it myself for sure. It doesn't make any sense to me that you can, almost sell your, beat up, 2,500 square foot multifamily that hasn't been worked on in 20 years, and then go and buy a completely new construction property. A friend of mine in Jacksonville, he's doing new construction, standard cookie cutter ranches, and he's selling them for $200,000. So think about that. Think about what, you paid for. I don't know what you paid for your condo, but think about what you paid for your condo to be, I mean, how many square feet do you have? Under 1,000 probably, right? Because those units are a little bit smaller.
The ones in East Boston?
No, yours specifically.
Mine specifically, yeah, under 1,000.
Yeah. So think about that. You paid more than a new construction property in Florida, right? For under 1,000 square feet.
Yes.
It's totally crazy. So it's a great opportunity for those people if they don't need to be in Boston. So, all right.
One of the questions she did ask me with the up and coming market, what do you guys foresee? What are you guys going to still be?
Sell now. If you can sell your multifamily in Boston right now, you've got to take, if you're going to stay in Boston and you sell one thing and buy another, there's no real huge financial benefit for the most part, unless you're downsizing. But if you've got a multifamily or something like that you can dump right now, take the cash and do something else with, this is the time to sell. I mean, it's so overpriced right now. I mean, you live in Everett, 3 families in Everett are selling for $650, sometimes $700,000. Those numbers don't make any sense. So we don't know for sure if the market's at the absolute pinnacle, but it's close if it's not there already, and you don't want to wait for it to start dipping to sell. So that's what I would say to every single seller that you meet with. If you're considering selling, and if you're considering selling within the next year to 2 years, you should sell now.
Take the opportunity.
And that's literally straight financial advice that I would give to anybody. And I'm taking myself. I've sold off a lot of my multifamilies in Chelsea and other areas that I just feel like it's crazy. That's why I bought the properties over in Jacksonville, because I want to go into a market that's not as overinflated.
And that's precisely what it is here.
Yeah.
And I think that's something when I'm on seller appointments, they're looking at their property and the market and how units are going over asking for subpar properties. And it's a little bit of a challenge, but I think everyone has that thought process right now. Oh, I can get more for my property. And you
can get more for it later or now?
And now.
So, I mean, more than what it's worth, you can't. So, I mean, everything is, relative to the market that you're in. So if everything in your neighborhood is selling for $500,000, you can't get $600,000.
Right.
You shouldn't even be getting the $500,000 to begin with. you're lucky to get the 500,000, but you can't get more than what it's worth, because just like anything else, buyers aren't idiots. So buyers are looking, just like when you looked and, you know, you went and you bought your condo, you're comparing all your options. So if you've got a property that's listed for 500,000 and worth 500,000, and then next door you've got a property listed for 600,000 that's worth 500,000, even though it shouldn't even be worth 500,000, you're not going to pay 600,000 for a $500,000 property. So every single buyer who's out there is looking at 20 or 30 or 40 different, you know, properties before they make a decision. So do sellers want more than what their property's worth? Yes, of course, but you know, that's just not going to happen. Like, that doesn't, you know, people don't, if they overpay by a small amount, but they overpay relative to what the market is today.
Okay.
So yeah, keep kicking ass, and yeah, send me over that Florida person. We'll get that person closed. And if you need anything else in the meantime, let me know.
Will do. Thanks, Tom.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right. Bye.